I'm Adam. I'm with AdvancedDimensions.com. Hopefully this video will help in the decision process, kind of looking at the 3D Disto versus some other competitors. I have a picture on the screen that is representation of like a pool, and I have my conference table. It's got some curves. It's got some irregular shape to it. And I put a border around it that is cardboard, just to kind of give you an idea of the surface of the pool surround. This should be a good representation of how you would use this in the field. I took a picture of it just to kind of show you what's going on. And then in the software, we'll see from the Disto's perspective. I'm connected to the Disto with this software via Wi-Fi. The table, my conference table is on the other side of my office. Nobody's in the office right now, so it's a little bit easier to do this. But so seeing from the Disto's perspective, you can kind of get an idea of what you'd be looking at. But I want to show you just in that picture. So Disto's set up in the middle, so kind of like representing, hey, being set up in the middle of the pool. If you wanted to, you could set it up from a different perspective. You just might have to move it around. From here, I should be able to scan this perimeter automatically, and then I'll bring it into AutoCAD 2D and be able to manipulate things and have an offset line or a line that I can use to represent the cove molding that's going around the outside. This beats templating. This beats pretty much quite a bit of things. And the software comes with this unit, so there's no additional software cost. So I'll get started. So I'm going to start first by hitting 2 points on this wall. And what this is going to do is it's going to orient the drawing file. If I were to hit 2 points along this plane, it would work as well, except the drawing might be a little rotated. So just to kind of start things off, I'm going to hit 2 points. Now this could be, in the field, this could be hitting 2 points on a straight fence, maybe behind the pool, or 2 points on a house. Something that's going to give you a good reference point. And you'll see when I open up the drawing file how that looks. All right, so I'm going to pull this picture over here. Now this is the Disto software. And I've turned it on. I've connected to the unit via wireless. The unit's probably about 30 feet away from me right now, and it connected. And it's showing that I have good signal strength. So you got some range on that. I've gone all the way up to about 90 feet before if you're in an open setting. So, but when you first start it out, it comes up blank. And after the first couple of points, you'll see a grid is going to establish itself. And down at the bottom, I'm connected to the Disto. You can see the Disto's battery is high. And if I click, so these three buttons over here kind of show you, this is a drop down of some different settings. This actually will take a measurement if I hit the dist button. And then this little target will show me from the Disto's perspective what it is seeing. So what's nice with this is you can pick a point and the Disto will automatically move to it. I am not anywhere close to it to be able to rotate it or move it or adjust it. So you can pick a point and it'll move to it, or you can click and hold in the center, or if you had a touch screen, your finger would be doing this, and you can move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move again to this wall here. So right now I'm looking through, I see a black column here and I see a windowsill. Just to give you some perspective, this is the black column that I see and this is the windowsill. Disto's about right here. I'm going to take 2 points on this wall and this will show you what's going to happen in a second. So I'm going to actually go down to, we're kind of close quarters here, so you'll see that so I'm going to kind of keep it in line with this. You don't have to keep it in line. This is just kind of a thing that I do. Just the 2 points will establish the X and the Y origin. So I'm going to take the first point, and you'll see a grid is going to appear. And now when I take the second point, it's going to be aligned in this grid. And when I export the drawing, it will it'll kind of keep everything square and nice. So I'm going to take the second point. So I'm just going to move along the wall. And again, you don't have to do this. You can always rotate the geometry in AutoCAD. This is just a way to keep things looking clean. So take the second point. I aligned it again next to the other window, so I'm in this area now, just to give you some perspective. So now we see how we've aligned. Now you'll also see now some stats are appearing. So this is telling me how I was 72 and 13/32 from the last point. And then it tells me change in height and level and plumb. But now I've taken the first 2 points manually, and now I'm going to just do an automated scan. And then what it's going to do is I'm going to start someplace in here, maybe someplace I can reference, and then it will just scan right around the perimeter. And once it's done, we'll be able to open it up in CAD. So I'm going to jump out of the view screen or the viewfinder. And this works great for outside. What you see is what you get here. So you can, and where the crosshair is where the laser point is. The software has a red cancellation feature in it, so you don't get confused with exactly where the laser is, but where the crosshair intersect, it's dead on to where that laser point is. So in the field when you're using it, you would be you could be right next to where the point is to make sure it's in the right spot. So I'm going to jump back out into the main area, and this is all three-dimensional. You can orbit it around, you can zoom in and out. You have a little view cube here so you can see different perspectives. But all I care about right now is just doing an auto scan. And we're only going to look at this in 2D. You can look at it in 3D if you wanted to, but 2D is all we really need. So I'm going to hit the auto scan feature. So this gives you the option to do a linear scan, so in a line, or to do a grid scan so that you could do like a wall if you wanted to figure out if a wall was out of plumb or floor was out of level or something like that. But you wanted to know more than just a line. So I'm going to do a linear scan because I want to go around the perimeter. And I'm going to do they give you a horizontal, a vertical, or a sloped. Now the sloped is going to not reference level and plumb versus the horizontal and the vertical, which are going to be, this is going to maintain plumb, this is going to maintain level. So after the first point that you take, the disto will maintain a level point all the way around whatever space you're scanning. So that's actually the one I want to do. So now it says select the first point. So I'm going to just select the first point. Now the cardboard that's around this table is kind of representing the side walls of the pool. So that's really the perimeter that I want. I'm going to just try to start with a point that is a reference that I can see it and stop it. So like where this corkboard is on the wall. And this is just, in reality, you'd be looking at the point and say, oh, that's where I started. But just for the video's sake, I'm going to start so where I can see that. And then when I see that again, I'll know that I've gone all the way around. So I'm going to pick a point a little lower than the top. That way I know that I'm going to stay within, within this cardboard. And I'm just going to hit go. So I'm going to hit the disto button. Sorry, I call that go sometimes. So the red disto button, and it's going to take the first point and it's going to say, do you want to go to the right or to the left or to the right or in between 2 points? Now, if you do in between 2 points, you got to hit the second point. I always pick to the right or the left. In this instance, it doesn't really matter because you can go right or you can go left, and it's just going to go back on itself. So I'm going to say, let's go to the right. And now the next question is, it's going to say, what scan increments do you want? Now, if you were doing something that's really dense, a really intense curve, you might want to go smaller. You're doing something a little bit more, relaxed or straight, you can go a little bit bigger. These are just presets options. But you could also do a custom one if you wanted to go, like say I wanted to go every 3 inches, but it skips to 4, I could do every 3 inches. I'm going to start it out at 2, and then we'll jump back into here, and I'll show you like the remainder. So let's do 2. So I'm going to click OK. And now it is scanning automatically. There is nothing that I am doing right now. You can see my hands. There's a video. I'm not doing anything. The disto is automatically just going right around this thing. And you can see in the view screen like what it's looking at. In this instance, it's pretty straightforward because it's going right around. You don't have to worry about seeing, going around anything. But, you can always pause. There's a little pause button here. You can pause and stop it. So maybe when I get around to this corner, I'm going to change it. So this is kind of where the radius is. I'm going to change it in a few to every 1 inch, so it can just tell me what this corner looks like. So I want to say change scan interval, and you can cancel from here, but I want to say change scan interval to every 1 inch. And now it's going to adjust itself, and now it's going to take a measurement every one. And up here at the top, you can see it's given us stats for each one, and it's roughly 1 inch. It's not, sometimes it's a little more, a little less, but it still gives you a good idea. And you can always see this in the CAD file later. So now I'm going to just adjust this. I'm trying to think here. We're getting pretty close to the other end. I might just leave it at 1 inch and then adjust to 2. So we're kind of coming around the curve here. Just so you see, you're coming around the curve. We got my faithful Dan working at his computer there. He's waving. So we're still coming around. I'm going to adjust this now to 2 inches. Change scan interval. We'll go to 2 inches. And it's just going to keep going. I was thinking that was a little bit shorter, but I'm going to pause it back again. Change. We'll know for the next side. I mean, the best thing is, even at 1 inch, it's not like you're getting the more data, the better. So it's not a big deal. It just takes a little bit longer because it's taking a point every 1 inch versus every 2 inches. Once it gets, you'll notice too, like when it takes a corner, when it takes a curve, it'll adjust sometime. Or it'll take a little bit longer to take those points. It's just adjusting for level. So it knows where it is. It's calculating. If I were to put a laser level in this table, like in the same spot as the disto, it would follow that line all the way around. So it's kind of cool for most applications. And if you didn't want it to be level, you would just pick that sloped feature. So again, I'm going to pause, change scan interval. I'm going to move it up to 2 inches. Let's go to 4 just for time's sake. So now it's going to go every 4 inches. So you'll be able to see the one side's going to be 2, the other side's going to be 4. In most instances like this, because it's curves, what's happening is when it takes a point, it's drawing a line between those 2 points. So, if you wanted to have a curve, then you would need to superimpose a curve over the top of those points. So this is just where that big, we're almost to the other side. This is where that big spool of cardboard is. I bought this cardboard for shipping distos, and it actually works out better for doing demos. So it works well for me. So it's still going around. Now it's getting close to the corner again. So I'm going to change it back in a few clicks here to 1 inch. You'll notice 2, so right about now, change, go back to 1. So each point that it takes, there's a number associated with it, and that number is just a point reference. So you can take a picture at that number so you can see, hey, at 113, 114, this is where the curve started, and you got to do that not during the auto scan. It's going to be after the scan, but I can show you that. Or like where those outlets are on that wall. Hey, I wanted to see, where this point was, and I want to remember it. You can take a picture. We're just going to get around this curve, and then I'm going to say, let's go 2. And we're almost around to the other side. And then I'm going to export this and pull it up in AutoCAD and show you what that looks like. Pretty, for doing auto scans, it's very straightforward. It's picking the first 2 points and then setting up the linear scan that we did and saying, okay, let's just do it in one direction or the other. If you had to move the disto at all, that's very possible. It just takes 3 points. So I'm going to change 3 points of reference. I was a little late on that. We can always go back afterwards and add some points to this. Not a big deal. So when you want to relocate the unit, it's 3 points of reference and 3 to 5 points. I suggest 5 for more accuracy, but 3 to 5 points that you can see in both areas, and then you can move the disto from the one area to the other or vice versa and hit those 3 to 5 points, and it knows where it left off, and it stays within the same file. So you don't have to like splice 2 files together. It does it automatically. Change scan interval back to 2 inches this time around. So it's great to be able, if you're doing a pool that is pretty intense, not quite as rectangular as this one, even though there's curves to it, you would just set the disto. I try to set the disto up in as few settings as possible, just because it saves you time. But you set the disto up, and we should start seeing some points in a little bit here. But you set the disto up in one location, and then take as many as you can get from that location, and then you secure that location, and then move it to the next one, and you're good to go. Actually, I don't think... Oh, that's right. I'm not there yet. So we're just about ready to pause it and then say skip the rest, because we're almost to the starting point. There we go. There's our first point. So I'm going to hit pause now. I'm going to say skip the rest. You don't want to hit cancel scan, because that'd be then it start, just delete it basically. But we'll say skip the rest. And then it says, do you want to edit the scan? And I'm going to say yes, because I'll show you why. This area over here, I kind of missed setting it up, so I'm going to go back to that. So I'm going to say yes, I would like to edit it. And now it's saying go back and pick any points that you missed. So like if we were doing a ceiling and it was rectangular, and this was set up for 2-inch increments, and this was 1 inch from the corner, and this was 1 inch from the corner, we missed the corner, we could always go back. But I want to come back in here and just add another point in there. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to select where I want to add. So this point 135. And we'll zoom in so you can see what's going on. And then I'm going to go back into the viewfinder and turn on the point so I can see them. For some reason it's off by default. I don't know why. I questioned them when I went to Switzerland and was talking to their engineers going, why is that off? So it's just an easy fix, so you just turn it on. So here's my 135, and I want to just grab an extra point here. So I just align it with the points that are already there, and I'm going to click the disto button, or the dist button, and now you'll see that point is automatically added in there. So I'm going to click. So now when I'm all said and done, I can go to the top view and take a look, and I'm going to click the checkbox to say I'm all done with this auto scan. So now I have the auto scan, and we can see kind of what's going on here. And the cardboard is by no means perfect, so it looks a little funky, but that's just the way the cardboard's laying. It's picking up all the deviations. You can see, there's some deviations. There's some holes here where it meets the table. We just quickly went around it. So we're also in perspective view too, so that just changes the way things look. Now if I put it off perspective view, then we got our table. So now we have a pool, and we have the pool outline. Now I want to export this to AutoCAD. So first thing I'm going to do to export it is save it. And I'm going to say this is my pool layout. So first things first is we name the folder, and now we got to name the file, pool layout. And if we had multiple pool layouts for a single, job, we could do multiples. I try to do a new folder and name for the file, for each room, say, but it's up to you. So now I'm going to go back to File Manager, and I'm going to say, take my pool layout and export it. It's going to go through and give me an error. That's all right. My computer was giving me some errors before, saying there's a storage error. I wonder if my computer is full. So we would export this, and then we'll be able to play with it in AutoCAD. I just got to see. It said there's a